By Chance, original audio drama, Chapter 5. The bookstore closed early on Sundays. Usually, Victoria would go to the grocery store, but instead, she decided to just go home. On her way home, she stopped by a corner store to grab a 6-pack of beer and some snacks. The sun was beginning to set as Victoria walked along the sidewalk, heading towards her condo. As she started across the street that headed into her neighborhood, she noticed someone. They passed each other as perfect strangers would. No acknowledgement, not even a smile. Victoria couldn't help but think, he's cute. He was a little on the shorter side as far as height, but his eyes were so beautiful. They glared innocently at her for a moment. His skin was in the olive tone, but he was definitely tan. It gave him a lightly toasted look, and his hair was short and faded on the side and in the back. But in the middle, he had a man ponytail. Oh, he was gorgeous. I wonder what his smile looks like, Victoria wondered, smitten by the gentleman she happened to see by chance. She smiled to herself all the way home. Because of the new cutie that Victoria had seen earlier, she binge watched K-dramas, sipping on beer and eating snacks throughout the night until she was so exhausted that she fell asleep. The next morning, Victoria decided to go for a run and then do her well-needed grocery shopping after. It didn't make sense to go home and shower after the run, so she decided to just go to the grocery store straight from the park. She grabbed 2 cloth bags by a register so that she could carry her groceries in them and proceeded to slowly walk up and down each aisle to ensure she didn't forget anything that was on her list. After about 45 minutes, she was done and headed towards the front to check out. While waiting in line, Victoria looked to her left and was surprised to see the cutie who she had seen yesterday in the self-checkout line. He too had cloth bags for his groceries, but today he had on shorts. Victoria scanned him from the top to the bottom. With the nice legs he had, she said out loud with a smile, "What was that, ma'am?" the cashier asked. "Oh, nothing, ma'am," Victoria replied. She walked out of the store, headed home, daydreaming about her Asian cutie. Oh my goodness, if I happen to see him again by chance, I gotta at least know what his name is, she said to herself. The days turned into weeks and weeks turned into months, and finally it was October. Cool weather had just started to settle in. It had been months since Victoria had not seen her Asian cutie, so she was sure that he didn't live in the neighborhood, perhaps was visiting someone. Oh well, she said to herself as she sat up in her bed. What a beautiful Monday morning, she said aloud as she switched on her radio to hear some tunes as she got ready for her day. It was Monday, which was one of her days off, so she decided to go to the park and find a cozy place to indulge in a novel, drink some lemonade, eat some fruits, and enjoy the fall weather. Once she was done showering, she slipped on a pair of gray sweatpants and an oversized sweatshirt. She packed a few things in her cloth bag and headed out. It's not really crowded in the park during the week because most people are working. And Victoria had just realized that it's pecan season. There was a side to the park that was lined with pecan trees. Victoria walked to that side to see if she could find any pecans. She didn't find any pecans, but what she did find was much better. Sitting on a bench was no other than the Asian cutie that had been running through her mind for the past couple of months. She played it cool and walked right past him, only slightly glancing just to see his face. When he looked up, she pretended to look on the ground and search for pecans, but she didn't get to see him smile for a moment. But she did get to see him smile for a moment. She walked around for a few more minutes and then turned around to walk past him once more. But this time, she was headed to an empty gazebo. Victoria opened her book and began to read, but every few pages, she would look over her shoulder to see what her Asian cutie was doing. It seemed like he was busy not being busy and barely glancing at his phone, perhaps just enjoying the lovely weather. I'm too mature for this, Victoria thought to herself. There's nothing wrong. We're going to speak. So she gathered her belongings and walked back towards where her mystery guy was sitting. Hello, how are you doing today? She said. Hello, I'm doing good. How about yourself? He replied. Oh, I'm doing good too. I hope this isn't rude, Victoria said. I was wondering, how old are you? Do you live around here? Wow, Victoria said in her head. I can't believe I just asked him that. Yes, I live around here, and I'm 27, he answered. How old are you? He asked. Victoria nervously waved at him. Too old. I'm 35. I was just wondering because I thought you were cute. Well, see ya. Victoria nervously waved at him. Have a good day, he said as she started to walk off. She turned around to say, you as well. Well, this has turned into an eventful day, Victoria thought as she walked home, smiling and giggling about what she just did. She hoped that this didn't ruin his hangout spot because he looked like he was really just chilling and enjoying his day. When she got home, she made a salad and poured a glass of sparkling water. Plopping down onto her kitchen chair, still, she thought, he was really nice to me. It was really nice to flirt with someone. She had been single for over a year. It felt good to smile in that way. Maybe this was a sign that she was ready to start dating again. Chapter 6. The work week went by fast. Victoria and her co-workers decided to hang out at the local bar after work. She didn't normally hang out past midnight, but she did for them. I can stay with you guys until the sun set, Victoria said as she entered the pub. Oh, you have a hot date? Her co-workers teased. No, it's not that, really. I'm not even dating right now. Everyone was taking shots of liquor and having a good time together. Before she knew it, it was 10:30. Hey, Victoria, I can drop you off at your place since it's on my way home, one of her co-workers said. Okay, thanks, Victoria replied. Everyone paid their tab and gathered together outside to say their goodbyes for the night. The pub wasn't far from Victoria's house, a 3-minute drive and less than a 10-minute walk. Her co-workers waited and watched as Victoria unlocked her door and was safely in her house before she drove off. Once inside her home, she realized she was missing her jacket. She decided to go back to the pub and retrieve it. The sidewalk headed back towards the pub was well lit. She was thankful that she lived in such a walkable and safe community. When she arrived at the pub, there was a line outside the door. She had to wait to get inside. After waiting 15 minutes in line, she finally made it inside and went to the cashier to see if anyone had brought her jacket. Now, as she approached the exit, she heard a male say, "Hey, it's you." She turned and looked to see if the man was talking to her, and to her surprise, it was the Asian cutie she had met. "Oh, hello," she said with a smile. "Are you about to leave?" he asked. "Yeah, I was here earlier with a few coworkers, and I left my jacket behind. I just came to get it." "Would you like to stay for a little bit longer and have a drink with me?" "Yes, I would love to," she said as she walked towards the table and sat down in the chair he was motioning to. "My name is Yi Jun," he said, looking at her intently. "I'm Victoria." "It's very nice to meet you." They both replied simultaneously and laughed like two teenagers nervously. "Also, you're not too old. You're beautiful." With this comment, if she could, she would be blushing, but instead, she replied, "Thank you. And that's nice to know you don't consider me too old." 2 hours had passed with the conversation of work, hobbies, and food. She learned that he worked for his family business, enjoyed a good run, and loved food just as much as she did. The conversation didn't seem romantic. It was more of a friendship, which was fine by Victoria because she wasn't sure she was ready to open up in that way. "Did you drive here?" Yi Jun asked. "No, I didn't. This place is close to where I live." "Would you like me to drop you off by your street?" "That would be great." Yi Jun paid the tab and escorted Victoria out of the pub. They walked quietly to the parking lot until he said, "Here's my ride." He pointed with his whole body. "Ta-da!" Victoria laughed. "Oh, cool, a Vespa." "I live pretty close too, so I decided today to take this cutie. It's her first night out on the town." Victoria laughed. "Let's go," she chanted excitedly. Yi Jun handed her his helmet. Safety first. Victoria fastened the helmet on and hopped onto the Vespa. "Let's go," he said as they zoomed out of the parking lot and down the main street. Victoria held tightly to Yi Jun and watched the street signs and lights pass by. When she noticed her street was coming up, she tapped his shoulder and said that her street was next. He pulled his Vespa over near the sidewalk and turned it off. She jumped off, took off the helmet, and handed it back to him. "Thanks for the ride. That was really fun." "My pleasure. Take my number and give me a call once you're safely inside." "Okay." She pulled out her phone and handed it to Yi Jun. "Talk to you in a minute." Victoria turned and walked away. Yi Jun watched as she disappeared down the street and waited for her to call. 5 minutes later, his phone rang. I'm locked away inside, so now you can lock my number in, she said. Okay, have a good night. He then started his Vespa and headed home. All right, you guys, that's the end of 5 and 6. I hope you enjoyed. No one's really been commenting, but I would really appreciate if you would comment. It's not even just for the algorithm or anything else like that. I just sincerely want to know, what are your thoughts so far? I'm a non-vice writer, but I have aspirations. And like I said in the first video, I'm so excited to be able to share this with the world. So thanks for listening, and until next Friday, peace and love.